This is your ultimate comparison video between the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus and the Xbox ROG Ally X. We're going to put these head to head in every single area except for benchmarks, and I'm going to explain why in a second, but mostly in hardware and mostly in feature sets. And that'll tell you exactly which handheld is right for you. Shout out to everyone on Reddit who gave me most of these suggestions, the MSI Claw Reddit and the ROG Ally Reddit. Great guys, everyone's super polite, really good to interact with. Personally, I've been using this for almost 2 weeks now, and I've had this for a little over a month. I have an obvious winner between the two, but I think these devices are very much who you are and what kind of device you like and what features you're looking for. And these, honestly, performance-wise, are neck and neck. All the timestamps for each type of the device you're looking for is down below. And anytime you see me on camera, I'm gonna be showing you my opinion. And I'm also gonna be doing just plain sound tests along with video, so you can maybe get a feel for how these are going to perform when they're in your hands. Now, the reason why I'm not doing any metrics today is because the Fox did them already, and I'll drop a link to his video down below. He measured them both at the same resolution, both with the same settings on, and they both trade blow for blow. It does not matter which device you pick up as far as graphic fidelity. What does matter is all the hardware and features that it can allow you to do. Now, there is only one thing the Ally X has going for it over the MSI Claw, and that is because it can install Linux, and that BASI system is a lot more performant than Windows. But you do lose a lot of features that Windows has, like easy switch between apps, as well as Game Pass. So there are some pluses and minuses, but you can always just dual boot, so there's that too. So first, we're gonna talk about the buttons here. The buttons on the MSI Claw are really smooth. I really like them. They're quiet, they feel nice, they have RGB that light up behind them. They're overall very high quality, and they're very quiet, which I need because I typically game most of my nights next to a crib while I put a baby to sleep. The buttons on the Xbox ROG Ally X are very clacky, loud, and a little stiff. They're not very smooth in comparison, but they still do the job fine. They don't light up with RGB, they work and they're functional, but they're just a little loud and clanky and just feel a little odd. You can kind of hear it for yourself in this clip. Moving on to the joysticks, you've probably heard a lot of rumors about the MSI Claw having really loose joysticks. Well, that's kind of the case. They are Hall effect, meaning that they are more reactive and quick, but it comes down to the tension of them. So removing the joystick of the Xbox ROG Ally X, you can see here that it kind of has a little bit of wiggle room back and forth. You can kind of see that it has some kind of toughness. It takes a little bit more work to move the joystick. While the Claw, on the other hand, is really quick and just instantly goes, and it's a very short distance to get to the edge. And the joysticks are smaller on the MSI Claw in comparison to the Xbox ROG Ally X. And that does make a difference. The thumbsticks are being smaller, it kind of feels a little off. I wasn't a huge fan at first. Now, the two things I will say is you will get used to that, number one, and number two is that it's not bad and it's not good. It's just different feeling. Third-person games is mostly what I play in handhelds, and they feel fantastic to play on the MSI Claw as far as the thumbsticks go. But the problem is you run into first-person shooters because those precise movements are too quick, where the Xbox ROG Ally X sticks have that tension where you can move more fluidly, so it just feels a little bit better and you're not missing your shots left and right. Do I like playing FPS games on a controller at all? No, they're not for me. I prefer keyboard and mouse. So while the sticks do feel a little bit more sensitive, it does not affect gameplay when you're playing a solo first-person game or when you're playing a third-person game. It's only really effective when you're playing FPS fast competitive shooters that you're going to notice any of that difference. And one area where they kind of tie is the speaker sound. The quality of the speakers in the MSI Claw are really high quality. You have bass, you have your treble, and you have your mid sounds all really laid out, all well balanced, and just sound really deep and rich overall. The Xbox, pretty good in comparison. I would say they're about a 15 to 20% difference. It's obviously noticeable when you have them sitting side by side, but if you only have one device, you've never heard the other, you won't be missing out. It sounds really good, it does the job. The bass is missing a little bit when you're listening to them from the speakers, but in comparison, it does the job it needs to do, and it doesn't sound bad doing it. But the MSI Claw does edge it out just very slightly. In my personal opinion, you can have the sound here. The D-pad. I've heard lots of complaints about the MSI Claw D-pad on lots of forums on Reddit. The D-pads in the MSI Claw are fine. I mean, I think they're actually almost as comparable to the D-pad on like an Xbox Series controller, and maybe even a little bit better. They control well, you can get your direction right, they feel high quality, they have a nice sound and nice feel to them. It feels great. I see the complaints online about them possibly breaking, but I've had mine for over a month. Everything's been good. It could be just a defect on older units. Personally, I have not experienced that. The ROG Ally X D-pad, on the other hand, does feel a little bit cheap. It doesn't have a good sound to it. It does feel a little off, and it's not as high quality, but it does the job still. There's no complaints as far as it functioning. Again, here's a clip you can compare this to yourself. I want to talk about the quality of just picking them up. If you watched my first impressions video, you would have noticed that I did notice the quality didn't feel as good as the MSI Claw, and that is true. It's also lighter and more portable than the MSI Claw. The Xbox ROG Ally X is more portable and smaller than the MSI Claw. The plastics do feel a little bit cheaper, and everything overall just feels a little bit less quality, but I believe that's because they want to keep things lighter and able to take on the go. Where the Claw is a little heavier and does fatigue a little more, but if you have a pillow underneath you or you're holding it in a certain good angle, you're not gonna have an issue with that. But if you're hovering it above in the air, yeah, after a while, it's gonna start to drag a little bit. But the parts of it and the quality kind of feel miles different. The MSI Claw feels very premium, where the Xbox ROG Ally X feels a little more budgety as far as the plastics they used. The paddles on the back. Thankfully, the MSI Claw has officially launched software support so you can remap the paddles to whatever you want, and that's a really cool feature, so they're on par with the Ally X's now. But the paddles on the Xbox ROG Ally X are really small and kind of out of the way, so they don't feel natural to click. Just you have to move your finger, consciously click it, and it doesn't feel good, and it's a very small target. Where the MSI Claw's paddles are really large in a natural position and are easy to press, and they kind of feel natural to use in your daily use. This is my office with absolutely no sound treatment whatsoever. Echo! Echo! Hello! And this is my room after sound treatment. There's a difference. Today's video is brought to you by ArrowZoom. They sell a ton of different soundproofing products for every type of scenario you're in, whether it's professional studio quality or your home studio or you're a common YouTuber. The products are high quality, ready to go out of the box. I had no issues with the deforming or kind of weird quality problems that I've seen other people complain about with those cheap Amazon versions. So if you need something more professional, they have your needs. If you need something more budget friendly like me, they have your needs there as well. They offer a ton of different options. I got their pyramid version of foam so I could surround my office, as well as their ceiling tiles, because you may not know this, but actually the most amount of echo you're going to get is from your ceiling bouncing downward at you. And you can tell it made a huge difference. Thank you, ArrowZoom, for sending these on over. Now the menu buttons. The menu buttons of the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus are really good. You have the bottom buttons on both sides. They press really nicely. They sound good, and they're very quiet, and they're used to open up the Xbox game bar on the right one, and the left one, it opens up the MSI Software Center. And the menu button for pause is on the upper right, and the menu button for select is on the upper left. Pretty simple, pretty intuitive. Now the menu buttons on the Xbox ROG Ally X, they are a little bit kind of annoying. They're reversed. So the start button is on the bottom right and the select button is on the bottom left, and the upper right button opens up your Xbox library, and the button up on the upper left opens up the game bar to go to the Armory Crate settings where you can change all your settings. Now there's an additional Xbox button that opens the game bar as well. So I think those buttons are personally redundant, but if you hold down the Xbox button, it does open up a multitask view, which I just mapped to the MSI Claw paddle on the back, so it didn't really bother me. The shoulder buttons. So the shoulder buttons, I'm gonna say just completely tie here. They both have their own kind of unique feel and style, but neither of them bother me at all. They both get the job done. They both work really well, and they both feel great and have different textures on them. No complaints in any way, shape, or form here. You can see the clip for yourself, just how they press down. They're almost identical. There's no issues and no really, you're not gonna pick one over the other because of the bold shoulder buttons or the triggers. Now the haptics, as far as vibration goes, well, this is where there's a big discrepancy between the two. The haptics and vibration on the MSI Claw should almost be turned off. They have a very loud vibration sound, they don't rumble, and they're almost a nuisance as to how bad they are. They just kind of sound like a blown out speaker. They're horrible. I personally don't use them. I have them turned off. The moment I felt them once, I was like, this is gross, and I don't want to hear them or see them ever again. On the Xbox's rumble, they're great. They have a good responsiveness to them. They feel good. They have nice and quiet. They have nice and rumble how you'd expect. Now they do have impulse triggers, which is basically just rumble in the triggers. That's not a feature you should go out and sought for. It's kind of useless. When you're talking about like a PS5 that have the adaptive triggers to where it responds as to how you're playing in the game, that is a very cool feature. That's a selling point. Having vibration in your triggers, just when you're shooting a gun, is not a selling point. It just means that you have 2 vibration motors in different spots. It doesn't do that much. It's not that interesting. It's not a selling point, not something you should look for. But the vibration in the ROG Ally X Xbox is great. It feels good, and that is a great aspect of it. Now, personally, as a PC gamer who uses a keyboard and mouse majority of the time, vibration is not a selling point to me because I don't use vibration and I don't care about it. So here's just a comparison sound you can hear between the two, and you will definitely hear the one from the MSI Claw. The ergonomics. Now, you've probably heard some fantastic things about the Xbox ROG Ally X's ergonomics, and you would be right. It's really lightweight, and it feels really good to hold for a long period of time. In comparison, the MSI Claw does not have as good ergonomics, but their ergonomics aren't bad. You get used to them over time. It is a little heavier, and that does cause some fatigue in different spots if you're a mobile. In comparison, it's not a selling point to me. They both feel good. Obviously, the Xbox has a better one, but the MSI doesn't bother me. I don't feel pain or discomfort when using it. I'm fine. I'm used to it, and it's no problem at all. You can just see how I'm holding them in this video here. In both my hands, you can just kind of see how my hands are formed around it, and you can see that the Claw, my hands are a little bit more like this, and the Ally, I'm more gripping. Of course, there's third-party grips you can get, but that never really solved my problem with the Claw. But with the third-party case around it, it kind of did the trick, and it felt better than the stock. Stock was a little too slippery. So the fan noise, I'm only going to talk about at the highest wattage possible on these devices, because anything below that, it's not comparable. They both sound fine. You're not going to be upset how loud it is at the lower wattages. Only when you're cranking that to the turbo mode will you actually notice any fan noise. And the MSI Claw's fan noise is almost non-existent. I believe they use multiple heat sinks in there, and they also have higher quality fans than the ROG Ally or any of the AMD chip series that they make. So they do sound almost silent even at the highest TDP. You can hear it slightly, but when you're gaming with even one headphone in or you're in a dark and quiet environment, it doesn't stand out. Where in comparison, I had the ROG Xbox Ally X sitting behind me while I was in the meeting, just sitting there running to see if it would pop up in the background. And yeah, I could hear it the entire time. It was a really loud fan noise. You could hear it cranking itself, putting out a lot of heat. That's what they're gonna do when they design this handheld. And I believe a lot of the AMD handhelds are the same way. So you've heard a lot of negative things about the software in the MSI Claw. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's actually been a lot of progress made. Not only is the MSI Center completely responsive now, as well as the Xbox Game Bar does have a few little quirks to it, but for the most part is completely normal and responsive. I've had no glitches, no stuttering. There is an issue with the button where if I press it too hard, it might double press, but I just press again and it's back up normal, and I've gotten used to feeling that. But there's not an issue with the software. It's completely buttery smooth, not buggy, and it's completely been updated to just run well. And there aren't a lot of settings you can tweak in here. They're kind of buried in Windows. However, someone did develop something called Tooth and Claw. This is a member of the Reddit community. It's a free Game Bar app. And once you install that, you can tweak the settings that are deeper in there, like disabling CPU boost, changing the contrast ratio and the screen preset of the color and contrast ratios. It's a fantastic tool. I totally recommend it to everyone. It has every setting you'd have to go and dig and search for just right there in your game bar, so you can turn it on and off. And he's working on getting game profiles set up on the MSI Claw as well, which is completely insane. shout out. I'll post a link to that Reddit post down below and to his app. He did a fantastic job. Now the ROG Ally X Xbox, on the other hand, has a very well fleshed out system. It has tons of settings you can tweak, so many that you might want to look up a guide for a full long-term kind of setting as you go. Game profiles, has libraries you can launch from. It's a overall fantastic software. It has tons of customizability. However, to me, it's almost too much. I kind of like the simplicity of MSI's software, but if you like that in-depth ability to change whatever you want on the fly, it has it all there for you. And the speed of launching these apps are almost the same. I don't think there's any need to compare buggy versus non-buggy software anymore. I think that argument is basically gone at this point. All right, the last two are huge, all right? We're gonna talk about FSR and XeSS and the screen size. Now, one of the biggest reasons the MSI Claw is still such a good seller and a good argument to even go for is because it has an 8-inch screen. 8-inch screens are a massive difference. It looks amazing. It is a very bright, vibrant, great IPS panel. The viewing angles are really good. The size is just perfect. The 16:10 ratio, 1200p is personally why I love gaming on it, because I like to play a lot of Baldur's Gate, a ton of Baldur's Gate. And playing Baldur's Gate on a small screen is difficult. I found myself often sitting on the couch, and by the way, I don't need glasses. I have 20/20 vision, sitting on the couch like this with the Ally, playing Baldur's Gate or any other game. And I found myself relaxing, sitting on the couch with this on my lap, on a pillow, gaming away like this. The aspect ratio and resolution was so good. So the screen size is one of the biggest reasons. If the Xbox ROG Ally X came with an 8-inch screen, I'm sure everyone would just buy that and never touch the Claw again because of how many perks that the Z2 chip comes with. But that screen size isn't there yet. And the MSI Claw still kicks butt as far as performance goes. Now this is a personal preference, especially with screen size. That's everyone's biggest argument about these devices. If you like a 7-inch screen, go with the Xbox ROG Ally X. It's a very lightweight, very portable device. If you like that 8-inch screen and you need something a little bit bigger because maybe you're older, get the 8-inch screen, get the MSI Claw. It's a very nice screen. And the ROG screen is just as nice, it's just much smaller at a 16:9 ratio. So you will find yourself, struggling to read text sometimes and looking a little closer, but maybe you have better vision than me. Maybe you wear glasses and those glasses help you have better vision in general. It's a preference thing. Just look at these side by side. I'm gonna do my best to compare the two. You are really getting a lot more real estate on the MSI Claw. Now, I'm gonna cut over to me playing some games, and we're gonna look to see if we can find artifacts between the FSR and XeSS. And my favorite game to test right now is Hogwarts Legacy because there is ray tracing, there is ambient occlusion, there's tons of settings, and it supports both FSR and XeSS. So we're just gonna test this game out, even though it's maybe not the best looking game, but it does show those artifacts when you turn them on. So this is XeSS performance or balanced, and you can start to see it in some of the trees when you're when you're certain, see like right there, you can kind of start to see it, but it's not too obvious. The trees do have some textures loading in. They look really good overall. That owl book starting to in motion there, starting to pixelate a little bit, but it looks pretty good overall. But you can't see much textures that look bad, just the trees in the distance. And you can see they have a little bit of upscale to them right here in the leaves. They can kind of see in the foliage. All right, now we're in high settings, but you're starting to see some artifacting around this post right here. You can kind of see those stairs have some artifacting as well. That's some artifacting a little bit, but that's super far out. And I'm having to nitpick here. Maybe some of these bars up here are doing the same thing. The owl, you can see a little bit of that upscale issue right there with the XeSS, kind of that motion blur. So now we're doing Cyberpunk 2077. I have everything set to high and I have everything set to ray tracing on. And I do have it 50% XeSS. It's set to auto, so it's automatically detecting it. And if we look around here, you'll notice there is a few different things artifacting here. And it's gonna be things that are far away. So if you look at cars, you'll notice that they're kind of flickering sometimes. The lights do have a little bit of a flicker, but it's not that noticeable. The cars, you can see it's the pavement reflection right there. It's low quality, it's coming up, high quality as you get closer. Same thing with this car, as you get close, it looks great, but this car far away, you can kind of see the edges around it. But for super resolution on this is fantastic. If you look at the people, yep, they're looking a little rough there as well. And you can see some of the poles here. You can see right here that this is having some resolution issues and the lighting kind of looks flickery, but it doesn't look bad. It's totally playable and it looks overall really, really good. Oh gosh, 50%, this definitely is very noticeable everywhere. Everything looks a little fuzzy. Everything, all the cars underneath them have this flickery, this haze around them that's really obvious. If you zoom in, it is really obvious where the FSR is working. Starting to walk through the city, especially in motion, starting to look pretty bad. The bars here all have that fuzz around them, that haze. Everything's got a little flicker to it. Everything even close. It's a lot more than the XCSS was. Yep, see that haze around him right there? Really far away, you can see lots of flickering, lots of really low res. These buildings right here, over here, and all this, over here in this corner, down over here, everything, oh, and over here. Some of the characters have like a little bit of a fuzz and haze around them that you can notice as they're walking. It's kind of some of the artifacting you'd expect with FSR. Reflections look good. Trees still have a little bit of that, having some glitches. The water here, reflective water really glitching out here, having a lot of that FSR problem. It just looks kind of fuzzy, which is a little strange, but it's not bad. And it seems FSR is still playable. This is still great. Motion, you can tell it's having a real effect on that. But when it's still, it looks fantastic, of course. I think that's what the biggest problem with FSR was. But yeah, there he is, right there. So further he goes away, you can kind of see that motion blurred effect, those artifacts coming through right here. You can definitely see on both those owls there, it's doing that. And I think the Xess has had the same problem as well when it was set to balanced, which is a lot, actually, I think, believe more than quality for this, but they do. If you guys notice anything, here's a boat right here. If you guys notice anything more detailed than me, please drop in the comments down below. I would love to have more expert opinions on this. There you have my comparison video. I want you to drop a comment down below as to which pick was yours. Personally, I'm staying with the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus, only for a few reasons. XCSS, fan and button noise, and screen size. Those things kill it for me. Those are the best features, me being in a quiet environment with my kid when I'm putting her to bed, and those buttons on the Xbox ROG Ally X did get her attention, and she did try to reach for it several times. In the Claw, she never even bat an eye at because you couldn't hear it. The fan noise, especially at those late hours and I'm trying to be quiet with, and XCSS overall is slightly better. It may have its artifacting just like FSR, but from what I've noticed, it does perform better and does have a low latency mode that I did notice some latency in FSR, even though it was very, very slight and wouldn't be noticeable to an average person. If you like this video, make sure to hit subscribe and like. I am working diligently to get more videos for you guys, and I've got so much more lined up. It never freaking ends. So if you want to pick out either device, check the description down below. They both are fantastic devices. They're both really expensive also, but I think it comes down to what you prefer. Do you want Bazite? Do you want a small portable screen? Do you want the better ergonomics because maybe you have bad and hurting wrists from gaming too much? Do you want those tighter joysticks so you can play more FPS games on it? Those things matter to you. You might want to look at the Xbox ROG Ally X. If you like bigger screens, if you don't mind having more sensitive joysticks, and quietness is important to you, the MSI Claw is probably going to be your go-to.